We're back here on the Gill Athletics Connections podcast. Again, so humbled you would press play today, right here to do another one. Here we are every week. We bring you men and women from around the country, around the world sometimes, in their amazing journeys in this great profession. You know, our goal is always to show you different pathways of coaching, different successes, different lessons learned, the importance of mentors, etc. And I'm pumped for each and every week, and I'm pumped for this week right here. So let's get right into it. Help me welcome the head coach from Embry-Riddle University. I think I should have asked that. I think it's university. Help me welcome the wise, the wonderful Mr. Mike Rosolino. Mike, how are you, sir?
I'm doing excellent, Mike. I appreciate you having me on today. I'm
Absolutely.
excited for us.
It's Embry-Riddle University, right? That's what I had in my head.
Yes,
Yeah.
technically there's an aeronautical in there as well. It's Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University.
Okay. Yeah. That's right. The whole name.
Yeah.
I never, I know, some are university, some are college, and I don't know the difference of those two things. So I just call like everybody university until they like
Yeah.
correct me. And then I'm like, well, what does that mean? And no one's been able to answer that yet. So I don't
I
really
think
know.
I think the technical answer to that is if you have more than one college within the university, it's a university. And if you don't, it's a
Oh,
college.
so like College of Arts and Sciences, College of Engineering, College of Business, or what that would make up a university.
You got it.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So that makes sense that, more people who are colleges are usually much smaller
Smaller.
schools because, yeah, they have one. Oh, okay. All right. Look at there. Didn't know we were going to learn that today. Hey, let's learn something else as well. I love knowing college mascots. Now, I'm going to have a guess before you tell me. I actually don't know.
Okay.
Because I know it's a big flight school, flying in there. So I'm gonna go way out there and say astronauts, but I think it's less than an astronaut. What's the mascot?
It's an eagle.
It's an eagle. Well, of
It's an
course.
eagle. Of course,
Okay.
it flies. Things that
So,
fly.
so you're not like the Embry-Riddle F-16s or anything. You're an eagle.
No.
Yeah. Okay.
That would be cooler though. Maybe we should have been.
That would be cool. Yeah. There's a lot of other connotations there, though, that maybe we don't want to get
Right.
into.
Exactly.
And before
Exactly.
we hop back in our Wayback Machine and learn more about you, Mike, tell us more about the school because this is an interesting school. I knew of this school way back in the day when I coached at Troy University because we'd
Mhm.
see each other at meets. I think they came up to our meets. And then I remember one time when the internet started, becoming a thing, I found Emory Riddle, but it was in Arizona, so I got very confused. Tell us, just give us kind of a 30,000-foot level, an eagle's eye view, if you will, of the school, because it's a fairly unique school, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it started actually about 100 years ago, exactly, because we're about to celebrate our 100th anniversary as a flight school. They trained pilots, and then they also trained people to fix airplanes.
Hmm.
And so it was a flight and flight mechanic school, just out of like a airplane hangar. Um, and then it kind of grew from that into, moving in. The original campus was here in Daytona Beach, moved here to Daytona Beach in about the 1960s. I think it was 1962, moved here. And at that point, kind of became a college and university. Again, kind of centering around flight. So, still teaching pilots how to fly, still teaching people how to build planes, how to manufacture them, how to fix them. And then it kind of grew into some engineering, like how do we design airplanes, and then eventually into other things like designing rockets and
Hmm.
other things that fly up in the air, leave the outer space,
All right.
those types of things, and gradually expanded and expanded more and more into more areas. But still, most things do center around flight, space, exploration,
Mhm.
and things around that. So we now do basically every form of engineering.
Hmm.
We have meteorology programs because pilots need to know meteorology and weather.
Right. Right.
We have air traffic control, which is very important.
Yeah.
We have the business, because the business side of aviation is very important. And then like homeland security,
Hmm.
and now we have a lot of stuff into unmanned aircraft systems like
All
drones
right.
and things like that, which is really kind of the growing area. Um, but yeah, expanded. Now I think we set a record enrollment every year. It feels like. You know,
Really? Like how many kids?
we're up to almost 9,000
Yeah.
on campus
Okay.
here,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and then we obviously expanded to the Arizona campus as well. They're a little bit smaller. I think they're around 1,500.
So that's like a sister campus then. Y'all aren't
Yep.
completely separate. That's like, okay, we put something out
No.
west.
Yeah, we technically have three camp. Well, I think we technically now at this point have four campuses.
Hmm.
So the one in Daytona Beach, one in Prescott, Arizona, And those are, and then we have a small campus in Singapore now.
Hmm.
And then we have what's called our worldwide campus, which is basically our online
Hmm.
learning systems. But we also have small centers in a lot of military bases across the
Hmm.
globe, where people who are in the worldwide campus can go and have mentors and
Yeah.
advisors and things like that to help them navigate through the system.
And you have like someone can go there. I think I know this because I think I know this fact. You can go there and major in like drones or drone technology or something like that, right? And I
Yeah.
think
Yes.
you're one of only two because someone, and I can't remember who it was. I just
Mm.
had this conversation. Their son is going to, and I think it's either North Dakota or North Dakota State, and they're one of the other two. They're the other two. They're the other one. You and them.
It would be UND.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Who
Yeah.
also has like I can't, well, what's their, they have some kind of eagle bird mascot too, and I can't think of what it is. Maybe it's a
It, it's
falcon.
it, it's a hawk.
It's a hawk. Okay. I was gonna say maybe complimentary to an eagle. Yeah. 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 Okay.
Yeah. There's just a
And
funny story behind that one too.
yeah.
But
W-
yeah, my daughter actually is doing her PhD at UND. That's how I know a
Oh,
lot
okay. All
about
right.
that
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah. Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, so they used to be the Sioux, and then had to
The
get
Fighting
rid of
Sioux. That's right.
yeah,
Hmm.
and had to get rid of it. And somebody put in Hawks, which stood for "How about we keep Sioux?" And that was the
No
mascot that was chosen.
way.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Like we
Yeah.
tend to think sometimes some decisions are made, after high level research and, well, hawks are native to the, where they're in Fargo, I think Fargo
Yeah.
area. And it's like,
Right.
no, someone
Yeah.
made a prank, a meme, and that's how they became that. I love that. That's cool. It is a
Yeah.
cool mascot though. I do love that, how
Oh,
they,
yeah.
they
No,
did
it
the
is.
mascot.
It is really cool.
And then your last fact of the day before we actually get to our guest today, Mike, I'm so sorry, because we are talking about
You're fine.
eagles and hawks and everything. When you hear an eagle on TV, that screech, that's actually not what an eagle sounds. In fact, that's typically a hawk screech. An eagle, like you should Google what an actual hawk, or I'm sorry, eagle sounds like. It does not sound like this majestic screech that we hear on TVs. It sounds actually pretty terrible. So they actually dub in a hawk screech for it, which I thought when I first learned that was like the most hilarious thing in the world. It's like we had to
Yeah.
dub our American eagle. That's crazy. I love it. I love it.
Awesome.
Okay, well, Mike, no one came here to find out how UND got their mascot. No one came here to find out about an Eagles true screech. We actually want to learn more about you. So let's get back into our Wayback Machine and go back, Mike, assuming, and we know what assuming does for us, that you were an
Yeah.
athlete. Where does track start for you?
It started in high school, actually. Growing up, I played baseball, soccer, some flag football, a little bit of basketball, but at 5'2", that was never going to be a career. Knew that one. So in high school, I grew up in New Orleans in Louisiana.
Oh, okay.
And so when I was going to high school, soccer was a winter sport there.
Hmm.
And so on the first 2 weeks of being a freshman in high school, I tried out for the football team. In 2 weeks, never got a helmet because at 4'8" and baby 60 pounds wet, I was small. I guess they didn't really see my future there either. So then the cross country coach was like, "Hey, you should come run cross country, get in shape for soccer season." And then I was like, "Okay, I'll try that. Like whatever. This football thing doesn't seem like it's working out." So went and started running cross country. Um, about 4 days after being at practice, we had our first. I wouldn't call it middle school because we didn't have a middle school, but it was a freshman only race.
Hmm.
It rained the night before. So
Yeah.
my infinite wisdom of having been at practice for 4 days said, it's wet. I should probably wear cleats today instead of running shoes. Went out, ran the 2 mile race in my soccer cleats, finished, I think, fifth, and which was pretty
Dude,
solid. Yeah.
yeah.
And then my coach looked at me and said, "Son, I think it might be time to get you a pair of running shoes."
It's not soccer season yet.
Not yet. Not yet. Not yet. But yeah, so it started there, ran cross country, played soccer, and then ran track in the spring
Did
as well.
you
So
So, I love this, such naivety of running in general. You put cleats on, right? But
right.
if you think about it, we're too much in our bubble and we know about track and cross country. That just seems foolish to us. But for a, 14-year-old kid,
Yeah.
that logic actually makes sense until you
Uh,
know the whole particulars, right? Did
right.
you know, because you go on to do soccer and do track that freshman year, how much did you know about track? Like, did you know, like, oh, there's distance events and sprints and hurdles, or did you just know, like, oh, okay, I ran cross and then I did soccer. Well, I guess I just do track then. That's what I'm supposed to do.
Pretty much. Yeah. I
Hmm.
mean, I think I knew. I mean, obviously, you watched the Olympics, so I know. Yeah, I knew
Hmm.
there was sprinting, there was distance running. Um, I obviously kind of knew those things. I really wish I was fast enough to be a sprinter because that's a whole lot easier training.
Yeah, amen. Amen.
That was not in the cards. So no, went into the distance running.
Yeah. So through high school, all 4 years doing this combo,
Yep.
cross, soccer, and track.
Yep. Yep. All three, all 4 years. 2 of those years, I played club soccer on top of cross country.
Oh, wow.
My cross country coach put an end to that after my sophomore year when I broke my nose playing club soccer
Oh,
and
dude.
missed about 2 or 3 weeks of cross country season.
Yeah.
And he's like, maybe we don't need to be doing that anymore. So,
When I have coaches on here who were football players and track athletes, one of my favorite questions is, were you a football player who ran track or a track athlete who played football? It's pretty obvious. This seems interesting to ask you because you did soccer all three. You were doing club soccer. Were you,
yeah.
and maybe it changes at some point, that's allowed through high school, but
Yeah.
would you have considered yourself more of a soccer player who ran track and cross, or a track cross country who also did soccer?
I would have, at that point in my life, yeah, I would have said I was a soccer player
Hmm.
who ran cross country and track.
Hmm. So it was all to
Yeah.
get better at soccer. That's kind of he
Yeah.
defined, like, oh, I was a soccer guy because
Yeah.
the track stuff helped me, not
Right.
vice versa. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Did
I
that,
think I liked all three, was competitive in all three, but yeah, if I had to pick one at that point.
yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, did that change at some point in high school?
No, actually, I played soccer my first year and a half in college.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, hold on before we get to
Yeah.
college. All right. That's fair. I love
Yeah.
that.
So,
What,
no,
so
that didn't change in high school.
yeah. Okay. So, um, why continue? And what I mean by that is, so you kind of as like all good coaches, you got ahead of me already. We know you did cross
Right.
country or soccer in college, so I'm starting to think like, oh, senior year, you have soccer season. There's still a track season left, but I'm gonna go play soccer. Maybe I need to go back to club or something like that. What kept you going in track and field?
Um, I would say a couple things. One, like I was successful, so I was doing well at it,
Hmm.
and also just kind of, obviously felt a sense of responsibility to the team then as well to,
Yeah.
continue to contribute, continue to do well. I'm also the type of person, just being active and doing 100 things at a time was who I am. So,
Yeah.
like, I was like, what else am I going to do? Like, I need to occupy those 3 hours a day. You know, I don't think there's been a time in my life where I wasn't playing a sport.
Mm. All right.
So growing up as a kid, like it was, soccer in the fall, baseball in the spring,
Hmm.
it was basketball there. It was, something like, I mean, I was always playing, if not more than one sport at a time. Like I was doing flag football at school and soccer in club. I was doing
Wow.
what we called cabbage ball as an elementary school student at the school. Cabbage ball
Yeah.
is
What is that? Yeah.
it's baseball with a bigger ball than a softball that's soft. It's the size of a cabbage.
Okay.
It's the term. So it's about the size of a cabbage. It's softer, so you play it on a much smaller field.
Yeah.
So you can do it like in a parking lot at school and things like that.
But
So
a slow pitch?
now it's fast pitch underhand.
Okay, all right. Because in Chicago, uh, softball is a big cultural thing for adults. There's a ton
Mhm.
of softball leagues,
Yeah,
and they play. And I can't remember. They don't call it a cabbage. I love that name though. They have
yeah,
they have the name for whatever the size of it really is. Like they have like 6 inch softball or 8 inch or something. I'm
yeah,
starting wait, maybe it's 10 inch for all I know. That seems pretty big, but it's a huge culture thing to play in your softball league when you become an adult in Chicago.
yeah,
And I just remember the bigger than normal ball that they used up there. Down south, we call
yeah,
it the cabbage ball. I love that. Of
yeah.
course
The,
we
the
do.
cabbage ball. The cabbage ball. Yeah,
I
yeah.
love
So
that.
I mean, I played cabbage ball at school and then go to play club and then be playing little league baseball. So
Yeah.
it's just that was just who I was. Like, I mean, I just was always playing a sport. So to not play a sport would have been like,
Yeah. It's not in your vocabulary.
yeah, no, like
Yeah.
that would just not even be, that wasn't ever a thought at that point.
Yeah. When
Yeah.
you're doing cross track and soccer, think about, we have hindsight now, so we can think back. Think about your relationship with coaches. Were you, I give a lot of grace to 14 to 18-year-old kids. You're a kid. But some of us, with the spoiler alert, we know you become a coach. We can look back and go, oh, I did pay attention to coach and how they called plays or what workouts we did and track. Or most kids are, coach told me to run 4x4, so I ran 4x4. See ball, hit ball for the track and field guys. What kind
Yeah.
of athlete relationship with your coach can you look back at now?
Well, I look at my first 3 years of running, I had a different coach.
Each
Um,
year?
no, I'm sorry, I had a different coach the first 3 years than
Yeah,
my senior year.
got it, got it. Yep.
So my first 3 years, it was an ex-football coach who smoked his cigar while he drove the bus.
Oh, wow.
Sometimes we felt like our fartlek intervals were
Wait a minute, Mike.
measured by how long it took him to inhale his cigar or not.
You're not that old. When I say that, I think we're roughly the same age. So, when you say that, I think of a guy who's like, oh, back in the 40s, my coach had his cigar.
No,
Dude,
yeah, yeah, it was in the
wow. That's
80s,
crazy.
90s, but
Yeah.
yeah. Um, so I mean, it was he was a great guy. He really cared about us, but training wise, like we trained well, we did okay, but it wasn't. I didn't feel like there was the science behind it.
Sure.
My senior year, a guy you probably have heard of, Mike Korn, became my
No
high school coach.
way.
Yeah, so
Is
Mike was my
that
coach my senior year.
right? I had no idea. That is,
Yes.
first of all, what a small world. Second of
Yeah.
all, that's awesome. How
Yeah.
how was he as a coach? I know him as an educator and a friend and
Yeah.
business. We do a lot of business together and stuff. Coach Corn, I have never been able to experience. How was Coach Corn?
It was night and day different. I can tell you, he wasn't smoking a cigar anymore.
Right.
No, but Mike was great. I'll never forget the first, like just a cultural change, right? Like
Mm.
we get done with our first meet and he says, okay, we're meeting for a long run in the park tomorrow.
You're
And we
like,
all
wait,
looked at
what?
each other like, wait, what? Like, first of all, we haven't done a long run, period, let alone ever run the day after a meet.
Right.
And so we all looked at him like, are you crazy? Like, what? And then we meet him out there. And of course, we all raced the day before and we're all just kind of tired. We've
Right,
never done
right.
this before. And he just hammers this long run on us. It just took off. And we're like, okay, this just got serious. But, it's just, but he was a great coach, knew the science behind it, made us a much better team,
Yeah.
but definitely had to change the culture a little bit, because we weren't used to that. Like that wasn't our MO. Like, we just, but yeah, definitely learned a lot from him of, kind of what it meant to train properly and to train correctly and, to actually kind of understand what we were doing a little bit
Yeah.
more. And
Now you only had 1 year with them, but you have a lot of experience with Mike
yeah,
throughout the time here, and he's probably, thinking out loud here, probably one of the most unknown big influence impacts on our sport, on our profession of coaching, I should
yeah,
say.
absolutely.
Of course, our sport, but our coaches, did a lot of USATF coaching education, directorship, doing a lot of classes, level twos, things like that. Went on to really. I don't know if either of these gentlemen would say this, but I think I would be Sam Seam's right hand man to really take USTFCA from on the ground to one of the finest organizations we have
Yeah.
around there. Knowing that you only had a year with them, so maybe it's not that fair of a question. Could you see that in him? I mean, you're 17. Again, you only have a year. So, all fairness to go, yeah, no, he was just a coach that didn't smoke a cigar, so we were happy. But could you see like, oh wow, this guy is like he loves this sport. He's going to do something in this sport.
I definitely knew he had a passion for the sport. He was also young at that point. Like,
Right.
I mean, it was fun to have a young coach who could actually run with us and
Hmm.
challenge us. And, so I mean, I definitely saw the passion he had for the sport, definitely the understanding that he had of the sport, the expertise and knowledge. But if he had asked me back then, would he be the person who was founding? Like I
Right, right, right.
wouldn't have even thought about that or known about that.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
You're right.
it is cool to go to a convention and be like, "Hey, coach, what's up?"
I know. Like I said, I knew he coached, but he's never been Coach Corn in my. He's been Coach Corn in my head of like, oh, he helps coach coaches,
Right.
which is obviously a big thing in my life, and just
No,
love him to
definitely.
death and love his servant leadership. So, I haven't even thought of him as a coach. So to hear that kind of blows my mind a little bit. Man, that's so cool. I love Mike. He's so good. I loved seeing him last year at US2CCA coming back and helping out, man. I love
Yeah.
that dude.
No,
Okay,
absolutely.
senior year. Again, you do the trifecta, the cross, the soccer, and the track and field. You're thinking about college. Talk to us about, what you were thinking about college, where you ended up going, and really want to know, uh, kind of start it with two questions. One, is coaching at all in your mind as your high school senior looking at college? Is it at all there?
Yes. So I went to college. I went to Rhodes College in Memphis.
Yeah, is that right? Yeah, great
Yes.
school. Yep.
Yeah. So I went to Rhodes with the idea that I was going to be a high school math teacher and soccer coach.
Okay,
Actually,
when you said yes, I was like, I bet it's soccer though, because that's still our
yeah,
number one. Okay,
right,
not
right,
track, or maybe like, oh,
right.
if they make me do track, I will. But I'm a soccer coach.
Yeah.
Okay,
That was kind
and
of
a math teacher.
and a math teacher.
Yeah. Oh boy,
Yeah.
me and you
That
are at
that was
odds. I'm still working on 1+1, and you wanted to be a stinking math teacher. Holy cow. Okay. All right.
that's what I went to school
Mm-hmm.
believing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Went to school believing that. Yeah, played soccer my first year. And then my second year, my sophomore year, I was a forward on the soccer team. And the two starting forwards was a sophomore who was the player of the year in the conference
Hmm.
and a freshman who was the freshman of the year in the conference.
Oh.
And I kind of looked and went, had an honest conversation with the soccer coach. Was like, I don't see myself seeing very much on this field ever,
And
knowing that.
I don't know enough about soccer. Uh, could you not have changed position? In football, if you'd have said I'm an offensive lineman, all five in front of me
Right.
are superstar, I'd be like, oh yeah, well you're done. Yeah, I don't know enough about soccer. Could you not change?
He had already moved me. I grew up playing a different, more in the midfield. He had moved me to a forward, and
Yeah.
just with his style, and that's where it kind of fit in. And so we had some honest conversations during the first part of my sophomore year of, you know, where do I really fit in? Is there really going to be,
Yeah.
with these two guys, am I ever going to play?
Right.
And we really, and he was honest about it. He said, look, I love you. You work hard. You do everything I ask you to, but yeah, by your senior year, maybe you're getting a few minutes a game, but
Yeah.
it's not
Yeah.
going to be. And I was like, well, that's fair. And I said, if I'm not going to contribute here, let's contribute somewhere.
And did you do track that freshman year?
No,
Okay, so you focused on soccer. Okay. Okay. Keep
yeah,
going. Yep.
yeah. So then I went and talked to the cross country and track coach, Coach Shankman.
I was going to say, no way it was Coach Shankman back then too. I
Yeah,
know he's been there for a
yeah,
long time. Love
he's
Robert.
been
That's
there.
so cool.
He's been there a long time. And so I went to talk to him about what I'd done in high school and, whether there'd be a chance to come out and run. And he kind of, gave me that look of, I don't know, maybe you're kind of slow. You're slow.
You're a soccer guy
You're a
now.
soccer
Yeah.
guy. I don't know if I like you. Um, but he agreed to it. And so halfway through the sophomore fall, I started running cross country.
Okay.
And
Did you finish out at Rhodes?
yeah, yeah.
Did you consider, so soccer is over with if you stay at Rhodes? Did you
Yep.
consider transferring schools to keep playing soccer?
No, no, I loved the school, loved what I was doing there.
Wow.
And that was way before transfer portal and all that stuff.
Sure.
People just didn't transfer
Yeah,
unless,
but people did transfer, so
yeah,
it's not like
I
it
know,
was you
I
couldn't
know.
do it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But
But no, that never was a thought. It was like, I
yeah,
love the school. I love, the people I was with. And it's just like, what? I know I can contribute somewhere. And if it's not on the soccer field, then let's go run cross country and track. And
yeah.
I knew some of the people who were running and yeah, I had friends that were on the team.
That's just interesting to me because you described yourself. I'm a soccer guy. I'm going to school to be like your major was picked
Right.
partially because of soccer, not only because of soccer, but like, oh, I'm going to be a teacher so I can coach soccer. Soccer hits this, call it a brick wall.
Yep.
Uh, but the school has such a draw for you. It's like, yeah, boy, I love soccer, but man, this school almost sounds like, not to use too big of a word here, but transformational. Like, oh, this school, this is where I'm supposed to be, whether I'm playing soccer or not.
Yeah. No,
Wow.
definitely. Definitely. And I mean, both my parents were educators, so I mean, I was there for school first and
Mm-hmm.
sports second.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, you know, sports was always the extra, like, go out and get your education,
Right.
go to the school you need to go to, and, you know, get
S-
challenged
So
and
does
do all
the
those things.
goal change then? I'm going to be a math teacher and coach track, or do you still think like, I'm going to still go coach soccer? I got enough experience.
Uh, yeah, probably still kind of is more like, all right, I'm still going to be a teacher and then I'll figure out what to coach later.
Okay, yeah, but it's going to be something. Like you said, sport
Yeah.
has been in your life. It's
Yeah.
I'll
No.
coach something. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool. So how did that change then? Because this will be the first time. So it sounds like for maybe 2.5, 3 years, you're a track guy, track distance guy, cross country,
Yep.
with no soccer getting in the way.
Right.
I say that from the
Yep.
track side of my life, soccer getting in
Yeah.
the way.
Soccer getting in the way. Yeah.
How'd that
I mean,
go?
there's still some intramural soccer
I was
happening.
gonna ask. I was like, I almost like, I bet you still played some club intramural. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Exactly.
Coach Shankman, he's so sorry.
Yes. Yeah, no, I mean, I got, got into the running sophomore year, struggled a little bit, obviously, because I wasn't in, I kind of say like, even when I was in high school doing cross country, soccer, and track, like when I got into cross country season, like I never felt like I really started in cross country shape because I was in some other shape. And then
Right.
I get into soccer and wasn't really in soccer shape because I was in cross country shape, not in soccer shape. And then I
Right.
get to track and be like, well, now I'm not in track shape, I'm in soccer
Hmm.
shape, and it was
Hmm.
always kind of going back and forth. So coming off of soccer, being in soccer shape, I really wasn't ready for cross country, and so struggled a little bit that sophomore year, but put in the work. And junior year got a lot better. Senior year, I was actually the cross country team captain, and was doing fairly well and did okay at the track in the conference, and convinced Coach Shankman that I wasn't a 10K runner, but that I could do the steeplechase,
Ooh, nice. Love it.
which I didn't like running. To be honest, running wise, I did not like running circles around the track.
Sure.
I loved cross country going from one place to the other, but running around the circle, I was like,
Yeah.
So I was like, if I can hurdle stuff and jump over water, like that's a whole lot more fun than running 25 laps. So,
So you would agree with me that the steeplechase should be the longest distance we do on the track.
I mean, I'd agree with you as an athlete. I would not agree with you as a coach.
I love, I'm not a distance guy. I've talked about that before. And I still say, I've seen a lot of great 5Ks. I've seen some, like, it was interesting to me. I think maybe I can only think of one 10K that I was like, wow, that was really cool to watch. That was it London with, oh, the two guys that were trying, Gallon Rupp and, not Meb, the Great Britain guy. They battled for it. And I
Yeah,
distinctly remember sitting in my in-laws' house watching. It was like, oh my God, like this is amazing. Like it was a great race.
great race.
Uh,
Yep.
I have, I've coached for 10 years. So I've had a lot of 10K kids on the team. Love them to death, love them. But boy, their races, no matter where I mean, I had some kids that won, we had great distance coaches and they won. And I still was like, nah, this ain't it, man. The steeple though, every single steeplechase race I've ever seen, slow, fast, doesn't matter, is amazing. It's awesome. It's fun.
Yes. There's
Yeah.
something exciting going to happen. You never know. Somebody's going to hit the water wrong. Somebody's going to fall. Something.
Even that, so that used to be my draw, absolutely. And that's still, I don't want to wish ill on any athlete, so I don't
No.
say like I wish that happens, but it's okay. There's that element of danger. But the races that I've seen where there has been none of that, like they're all
Yeah.
standing on their 2 feet while they're doing it, it's still been
It's
awesome.
still
And
exciting.
maybe it's that element of like, oh, but it could happen. Like
Yeah.
somebody could slip, somebody could fall, and that creates drama,
Yeah.
if you will. Yeah.
Well, it adds that technical aspect to the race that
Right.
there's something always you're watching because something could happen at any moment.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a great point. If I call it doze off in a 10K, I know things happen and there's a lot of tactical things that
Right.
happen. But if I miss a mile, I'm still I know what's going on, right? I
Right.
miss a couple laps in the steeple, and I could miss a lot. I could miss the
Yeah.
whole race essentially. Yeah, yeah, that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah.
So that's cool. You're a
Absolutely.
steeplechaser, man. I love that.
Yes.
That's some tough
Yeah.
dudes, man. You got to be tough to be a steeple. Slow or fast, it don't matter. You got to be
Don't
tough
matter.
to
Yeah.
be a steeplechaser. That's so cool.
No, yeah. It was a challenge. It was fun though. I enjoyed it
Did you
for sure.
find yourself your mentality of to the again, spoiler alert, you become a track coach. Did you find yourself paying attention more to workouts as you're now a call it 100% track distance guy, or is it still like, oh, Coach Aikman, you said go do mile repeats, I go do mile repeats, yes sir.
I no, definitely started paying more attention to it. Yeah, absolutely. Trying to understand what we're doing, why we're doing it, what we're trying to accomplish. But I was still a little bit of a jokester and, still like to have a lot more fun. So,
Yeah.
yeah, there were definitely some times where, it was just like, all right, let's go. We have an easy run. Let's go do something crazy today. So we did some things we probably shouldn't have done. But,
What are
had some
you
fun
what are you willing to admit on record?
on
Meaning,
record.
did you like Coach Aikman says go for a 10-mile run and you do 2 miles out of sight, take a
No,
nap, come back in for the last two, or
no, we would go run our 10 miles, but, we might run down the yellow line, down the busy road in the middle of the cars. We may have done some loops through some playgrounds and up and down some slides in the middle of it. Just nothing
nice.
bad, just, just,
I hope that goes on more than we think, honestly, because at the end of
yeah,
the day, the beginning and the end of the day, it's a sport. It should be fun. And I know there's a lot of
right.
serious things that are, if you're a football, basketball player, there's a lot of money on the line. For track, there's a lot of money on the line still. So,
Yeah,
but it's still a sport. I hope kids are having fun out there. Yeah.
yeah. I
Just
think
don't do bad things.
and I think at that point in my life, I was still so competitive that I think, if I look back on it now, like if I knew what I knew now, then I would have been a better athlete. Because I
Mm,
think I still tried to compete in too many workouts instead of really trying to
yeah, yeah, yeah.
maximize pace work and things like that, that it became more of a competition
Right.
and some things than necessarily really knowing what I was doing.
Yeah. Isn't that the eternal tug of war? Our older self,
Yeah.
ourselves today, going, man, if I would have just taken it a little bit more serious, how good I would have been. And the other end of that tug of war is the 20-year-old us going, yeah, but I was having a lot of fun with my boys. It's
Right.
like, I knew I was going to become pro. So what's the matter?
Right.
What I'd gotten
Yeah.
10 more seconds better in the steeple. Well, that I still would have been in the same place. Who cares?
Right.
So it's
Right.
that eternal tug of war with our
Yeah.
future self and our past self, and we're somewhere in the middle of all of
Absolutely.
that.
Absolutely.
Uh,
The late night brownie Sundays
yeah,
and those kinds of things, which were great for team bonding,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
maybe not the best for performance. Yeah.
Right. And if you're even if you're cognizant of performance and health, things like that, as a 20-year-old, you go, yeah, but I'm doing so many miles, it just burns right through me,
Right.
which is true, by the way. And again, this is where our
Yeah.
older self goes, not anymore. It
Not
does
anymore. Nope.
not, it doesn't burn
Nope.
through anymore. How was I've gotten to know Coach Shankman since I've been here at Gill, so almost 20 years now. I've done
Yeah.
a lot of work with him. Love him. How is he as a coach, man? I really enjoy when I see his name pop up on my caller ID. He's a joy to talk to. How was he as a
Yeah.
coach?
Oh, absolutely. I loved every minute of working with him. He, was down to earth with us, and we could have conversations with him, but he was also challenging and pushed us and, um, you know, had great training techniques and things like that. And I love the fact that, he was a four hurdler in his career. So when I became a steeplechaser, like
Oh
he made
yeah,
sure I actually learned how to hurdle properly. And,
yeah,
we did like hurdle practices and, a lot of hurdle drills and things like that. So, I mean, just some of that one-on-one attention,
yeah.
um, but then also being somebody we could just sit down and go in the office and just shoot the bull with them and hang out with them. And
That's
yeah,
cool. I love that. He's such a good dude.
yeah,
Okay. I mean, what a transformation college is for your identity, right? I'm a soccer.
yeah,
So now it's fair to say the question mark here at the end of the sentence. Now you're a track guy who now used to play soccer. You're fully entrenched in being a track guy at this point.
yeah. Athlete wise, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
But I
I,
mean,
but
passion's
definitely did
passion.
not.
You still love soccer.
Yeah,
That's yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
But did not see at that point when I graduated college, did not see coaching as my career.
Okay.
So had gotten very involved as an RA working in housing and really decided I really did want to work at a college,
Okay.
and not teach high school.
So
That,
there's that
that was
first
out.
change. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Teaching was out the window. I was like,
Did you get a math educational degree though?
yeah,
Okay,
I
so you
have
got that.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah. I had a math major with a minor in physics.
Dude,
Yeah.
why are you a track coach? Holy cow. That's the kind of degrees you can go get some serious jobs, my man.
Yeah. Cause I didn't want to sit in front of a computer all day.
Joke's on you.
Yeah.
That's my
Now I
that's my
am.
that's my favorite thing when someone's like, "Oh, I'm gonna go into coaching because I like being out in the ring with the kids and I like being at the sand pit." And it's like,
Yep.
"Oh, you don't know what coaching is then."
No, no,
That's this
exactly.
much of the job, buddy.
Right. Right.
Love it, love it, love
No.
it. Okay, but you get the
Yes.
opportunity to go outside. That's the big
Yeah.
difference between
Yeah.
our jobs. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I can go work out for a couple hours and
That's right.
be
Yeah, I got to wait till
getting
5
paid
to
for
do
it.
that. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Okay,
Exactly.
so you started doing some RA stuff, started getting into that. So you started thinking like, oh, I
Yep.
like this college
Yep.
influence. Hmm.
Yep. And then I went to grad school in South Carolina to be, to in student personnel services and higher education administration,
Oh,
really to work
wow.
in student affairs.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. What school?
I went to University of South Carolina
Oh,
for
you're a
grad school.
Gamecock. Yeah,
Yeah, I was
okay.
Gamecock.
Very cool. How,
And
how
then
did you so I'm noticing, knowing that, you end up in Daytona, New Orleans to Memphis to South Carolina doesn't seem like moving is much of an issue.
no,
Yeah.
that was all good. Yeah, I
Mhm.
went to South Carolina. I worked at a small school, Presbyterian College,
Yeah,
which is about
PC. Yep.
yep, PC. I was at PC working in housing while I was going to grad school.
Okay. Oh, so you're doing both. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, so I was working in housing as kind of a hall director, became the director of residence life the second year. That's a whole other story.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I was working in housing there, going to grad school in South Carolina, and having fun for a couple of years. And
Still running on your own, at least?
oh no,
No.
no, actually, after
Wow.
college, I swore I'd never run again.
I was gonna say, so you're not a that was fair
Yeah,
when you
no,
said,
that's
yeah,
what I'm
maybe
telling
not
you.
really.
Yeah,
You're not a,
maybe not really. No,
yeah, okay, all right.
graduated college, said I swore I'd never run again, which is kind of the best thing. You want to do something, say you'll never do it because
Yeah,
God
yeah.
will find you a way to
That's
have
right.
to do
That's
that,
right.
right? Like never gonna run again,
That's right.
do those things. Working at PC and housing. Again, PC, small school, small
Yeah.
community. Everybody knows everybody. So I'm working in housing, but I'm still involved with athletics and doing PA at basketball games
Oh,
or,
cool.
just kind of, just hanging out with the athletic department, playing intramural sports, getting to know people and doing those types of things. And I think it was my third or fourth year there. The cross country coach found out I ran cross country in college, and she was not a cross country person. She was the assistant women's basketball coach who got made to do cross
Hmm.
country.
Hmm.
And she said, "Hey, can you just help me out? Come run some practices, come to some meets. I'll do all the admin work. I'll do all the recruiting, all that stuff. You just do that."
So they had cross country, no track, if I remember.
Yep.
Did they have soccer?
Yeah.
Okay. So cross country, basketball coach is made to do cross country. This is unfortunately typical. I get it. She
Yep.
sees, wait a minute, you ran college. Like she thinks of you,
Right.
you are the track guy. Like, oh, wait a minute, this is
Right.
the distance guy. Come
Yeah.
help me out. Okay, this
Yeah.
is a this is a now this I talk about, we're in episode 300 and something here, that there is no common way to get to
No.
coaching, right?
Right.
But this is a sort of one of the common themes of like, oh, and someone asked me to help. Because
Yeah.
you never thought of like, well, you had thought about becoming a coach with soccer, but you did not think like, oh, I'm gonna become a track coach. Someone had to go, hey, can you help? And
Right.
let's see if this sparks something. Okay, keep going.
Yeah. Yeah. So actually, I was coaching like club soccer and some other things
Yeah,
at
of
that
course, of
time.
course.
But
Yeah,
of
you're a
course,
soccer guy. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. So she asked me to help, and I was like, yeah. So talked with my boss and was like, hey, are you okay if you know I go help out at practices
Right.
and things like that and take that time? I'll make sure the rest of my job gets done. I was like, yeah.
Right.
He's like, yeah, sure. Like that's what we're about, right? Like we're
Yeah,
a
I was like,
small
this
school.
small, right? Yeah.
We help
Mhm.
each other out. It's a small community. Yeah, as long as you're getting your job done. Yeah,
Right.
whatever.
And you're done with your grad work.
Yeah, at that
Yeah,
point.
you're a full-time employee now. Okay, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. And so 3 months later, I was the head cross country coach and director of residence life. That's a short part of that story.
She says, like, can you help out? And then it became like, hey, I can't make it. Can you just run it? And hey, let me know how the cross country meet goes. Hey, just give the guy the title. I'm going back to basketball.
Yeah, yeah, basically.
Hey, what a
But
good help
basically,
for.
it's a little more like hey, I'm the women's basketball coach who has to coach cross country, and the men's basketball assistant doesn't. How, let's talk about Title IX. I don't want to coach cross
Sure.
country anymore, and shouldn't have to coach cross country. And
Correct,
I
correct.
don't know cross country. Like, why
Yeah.
am I?
And we have a viable source here.
And we have
It's not like
somebody who
we
can do it.
got somebody off the street here. It's like, okay, this guy at least did it. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and we had the highest finish at conference ever. We had a freshman of the year in the conference, some things like that. So
Wow.
she's also going, hey, there's a reason why we got better, and it's not because I was doing practice. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Sometimes that's a great point. Something to kind of double click into. A lot of times in our sport, we will judge that assistant basketball coach who's doing cross or that football coach who's doing track, and oh, they're not serious, and administration should be more serious. And sure, I don't disagree with that latter statement that
yeah,
administration should go find a track or a cross country person to do that. However, sometimes we like to judge that person, that lady that was doing it. It's like, hey, she didn't ask for this.
no,
And I feel like I bet you she was doing as good as she get, knowing that, hey, cross country had to be at the best secondary sport for her. Obviously, basketball number one. She probably maybe didn't even know anything about cross, but she's like, all right, well, I know they want to be safe and think like So she probably tried to learn some stuff, but that wasn't her passion. Don't
no,
blame her. She didn't volunteer for this.
right.
She was voluntold for
Cool.
this, and so I'm glad that I love how the stars aligned. You go to work there, and
Yeah.
lo and behold, wait a minute, you ran cross. That's cool. So what did that? And I know you were coaching, some club soccer and things like that, but this is your first track,
Mhm.
cross country coaching. Did that spark anything in you, or was it just like, okay, cool, it's just like soccer, except for I'm doing cross?
I mean, it definitely kind of, rejuvenated kind of this sense of, hey, there's this a sense of the camaraderie, the
Mhm.
teamwork, and that kind of stuff that kind of just rejuvenated me in that sense of, hey, there's a lot of commonality. Coaching's coaching. Like, it doesn't matter what the sport is. Like, you're still influencing people's lives and trying to change people and help them be better, whether that's in their sport or as better people, like in general. And then obviously we had a little bit of success, so it was also kind of that sense of, hey, I feel like I'm doing something here. Like, I
Mhm.
must have learned something from Coach Korn and Coach Shankman that I can use now, to kind of help make other people better and
Yeah.
enjoy being around the athletes who cared about something, who were passionate about that, and helping them to get better, make a difference. And then I was also like, this housing stuff, this ain't all that fun either, because at 3 a.m. I'm getting called every time somebody goes to the hospital and
Yeah.
drank too much or did that, or
Yeah.
gets in trouble. And at that point in my housing career, I'd moved up so much where the only people I saw were ones who were in trouble.
Mm.
They didn't want to talk to me. Like, they didn't want to
Right.
be there. And I'm like, well, the whole reason I got into this is to work with students. You know, I
Right.
want to work with students who want to work with me too. So,
Yeah.
it's just a much different atmosphere working with the cross country kids who wanted to be there, who, we could have fun together. We got run together. We could talk about things
Right.
and hang out, versus the other students I was meeting with who were forced to be in my office, didn't want
Right.
to be there,
Do not want to talk to you.
do not want to talk to
That's
me.
right.
Yeah.
So where do we go from there? Cross country goes that first year, a lot of success.
Yeah.
They got better. We don't have track season. So what do we
Nope.
do?
So some off-season training with them, and then the next fall, still coaching and working in housing, um,
Did
which just
you
became too much.
did you have to, or the better term would be get to, but maybe because of the looseness of this so far, any recruiting for that next year?
Did not, because at that point, like, it was still kind of hairy as to who
Right,
was.
right. That's what I feel. That's why I said
Yeah,
it's still kind of loose.
yeah,
I don't hear like this official,
yeah,
this is our guy. We want to bless this program. It's
right,
like, yeah, we got a guy who can handle it. Yeah. Okay. So you just got
yeah,
who showed up.
right. And
Mm,
and well, I mean, she had done some recruiting, so I mean,
mm,
she was
mm.
still doing some of that recruiting, because that was kind of our agreement, right? She was recruiting
Mm.
and doing admin, and I was just there for practices. So she had
Got it.
done some recruiting and bringing some people in, and
Okay.
so that was there. Yeah. So then the next year, same thing's kind of going on, but I was working now really two full-time jobs and starting to go, I've got a 1 year old and a 2 year old at home who
Mm.
I leave before they get up in the morning, and I get home usually about the time to put him, basically in time to put him to bed.
Right.
Right. And so then, my wife and I were talking about it and things and go, like I really enjoy this coaching thing more than residence life. I'd really like to see if I can find a full-time coaching gig.
Right.
So then that's when I started applying for coaching jobs.
Because you knew that wasn't going to be at Presbyterian because there's like they have cross. It's obviously a part-time at
Yep.
best position. Yeah. So it's like, okay,
Yep.
if I want to go full bore, I got to go elsewhere.
Yeah. Got to go elsewhere. Yeah. And I was having some conversations with the AD and the president actually at PC about, hey, I, I just, if I want to move into coaching, these are some things ways that I think it could become full time, but kind of sent some proposals on it, but they were like, no,
Yeah.
that's not where we're at. Cross country is going to be part time.
Yeah.
2 years later, they moved Division 1 and it's still part time. Like,
Yeah.
how do you have a
That's right.
D1 cross country program with a part time coach?
Yep.
But
Yep. Exactly.
it is
Exactly.
what it is. But that's the frustrating thing sometimes in our sport is,
Yeah.
like you said, some admins take it seriously and some don't.
That's right. That's right. And, I'm okay with that as long as they're up front. Like I would be
Yeah,
more upset with the using PC as an example here, with the administration if they, sold a bill of goods like, oh man, we're gonna start track in 2 years, we're gonna have a facility in 5, and the
right.
intention was like, yeah, we're never are. We just want to get this guy here to coach for us. It's like, well, that's not cool. But if you tell somebody who's applying, it's like, hey man, this is a part-time gig. We want you to have
Right.
20 kids on each roster. I'll be real frank, don't care if you come in last. Don't care if you come in first. You aren't going to get anything if you get first either, by the way. That I'm okay with because then at least someone's taken the position under those pretenses and they can make what's best of it, knowing what's in front of you. It's the false pretenses, the fake support that's told during the
Gotcha.
interview. And, you talked about how kids didn't want to be in your office as the director of life. Well, when the coach is in the 80s, in the 80s office and the 80s, like, I don't want this guy here either. So I'll just tell him what he wants to hear, move along.
Right.
That's
Move on.
that's what we got to get past in
Yeah.
administration sports in this country, both levels, high school and college, by the way. That's the stuff that irritates me. Okay.
Yeah.
Have a real conversation with your wife. You've got 2 youngins. Hey, I think this is maybe where my life satisfaction might be is actually to go into coaching. What did you do? And
Yeah.
did soccer ever cross your mind of like, well, let's go be a full-time soccer coach?
No, like I mean, at that point, I kind of knew that what I'd done opened up doors to be a cross country and track coach. Was enjoying doing that and enjoying the coach. Like I was enjoying the coaching aspect probably more than the running aspect. To be
Mm-hmm.
fair, like I
Mm-hmm.
enjoyed that part of it, and so was looking for something full time in the cross country area. Still, I'd never like we didn't have a track program, so
Right.
I'd never really coached track and not necessarily ever thought about that from that standpoint, but it's definitely something that would be out there. Yeah, so started applying, looked up, look for jobs, and that's how I, applied for a job at Embry-Riddle. And here's another funny story with that one. So applied for a job at Embry-Riddle, completely missed the fact that on the job description it said it was a part-time position.
Oh,
Missed that, came down for an interviewed, and right before the interview, I think I found out it was part time, and they're like, you're really interested because we started talking about it, and you're like, well, you're really interested in part time. I was like, well, the situation I'm in now is not great, so, but I really don't, I've really got to find full time. I got to support my family, like
right.
that's part of it. So I'm really looking for something full time, but I'm open to some other, thoughts or if there's something else on campus, there's
Right.
other opportunities in the athletic department. Like those are things I'm open to, like whatever could happen. Came down, interviewed, and after the interview, like, yeah, we'd really like you to be here. Right now, we only have permission for a part time. We're working to try to make it full time and adding a few things onto it. He said, by the time you get here, I think it'll be full time, but I can't guarantee you. And
Wow.
I kind of, we talked it over. I trusted our AD at that time. I was like, I trust he's going to try to do his best to make this full time. And if it doesn't happen, there's always Walmart or somewhere else to supplement. We'll figure it out, I guess. I don't know. But I guess too, I was like, what, 26 at the time, kind
Right.
of heave a little bit as well. I was like, you know what? It can't be, it'll work out somehow or the other.
Yeah.
And trusted that he was going to do that. And we put the house on the market. 2 weeks later, it's sold.
Wow.
Still looking at a part-time potential position starting in
Wow.
like a month. And about 2 days before we moved, he was able to make it a full-time position.
Wow.
Yeah. So I mean, I thankful
Dude.
that everything just kind of worked out there. But yeah, it's kind of crazy.
Was wife working at that point or taking care of the kids?
She was taking care of the kids.
Yeah. So
She was
not
teaching like aerobics or something at the YMCA, just some
yeah, but
supplemental
no
income.
secondary income of like,
No.
we can scrape by if it is part-time. This was, man, this is going to be the majority of our income here.
Yeah.
We need to be a little bit more than part-time.
Like in 2 to 3 months, our savings gone, and
Yeah.
really
Wow.
figuring life out. But
What that's so interesting to me. I mean, that's a leap of faith, right? I mean, that's
yeah,
maybe not in the same level, but in the same stack of who you choose to marry, having kids. Those are leaps of faith. You don't know what it's actually going to work out or not. Getting
no,
married, having kids. Well, I guess it works out with the kids, but you don't know all the tumultuous stuff that happens with them until
right.
you're
No,
until you're in it,
exactly.
right? So
Right.
for you to put in a lot of our relationships, and major cornerstones of our lives, housing, etc., are banked on our job, and you had no. I mean, what was it about the AD that was like, you know what? I believe in them, and if they don't, I believe in us that we'll figure it out. To a
Right.
new place, by the way, no family, no
Right.
support down
No,
there.
nothing. Yeah, nothing. No, we're 12 hours away from both families. Yeah. I mean, our AD at he was a very charismatic person, very energetic. Everything that we talked about, like philosophy wise, like we all aligned. The sense of, we're in this to be competitive, but we're also in it to in a holistic approach as a student, person, player. Um, in all of our conversations, just kind of trusting that, he was going to work for these things, and, he'd been successful in getting other things done and growing the program. As we talked about, like Embry-Riddle as a school, you know, athletics didn't even exist here till like mid 90s.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that. Right. Yeah.
It's like very young programs. It was still growing, is very much in that growth stage, and he
Hmm.
had been, basically the person to help all that grow. And
Hmm.
so, he was telling me about what his, ideas were and some of the things, and there were a couple other positions on campus, or if it didn't work out, like there were some other opportunities too.
Hmm.
And like,
Hmm.
okay, so maybe there's some things here, and it just felt like a good fit. And just really and truly, I think there's a little bit of me that always is over trusting of people and
Hmm.
overly into that faith, and
Yeah.
said, you know what, this is going to work out. I said,
Yeah.
I trust him. I trust God. I trust, this plan is what
Hmm.
our plan is. And, it's going to work. And if not, we've got 2 or 3 months, we can figure it out. And
Yeah. I kind of like that attitude. The reverse of that attitude is never trusting, always hedging your bets, things like that. But both, no matter how you attack life, stress is going to come into it. Both are stressors. One just
right,
seems more of like, well, at least there's less stress from the beginning. Like I don't have to worry about things, and then when things go bad, okay, that's a stress, and I got to figure them out. But
right.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all. I love that kind of
Yeah.
attitude. So
It's just, we'll problem solve when we got to problem solve.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, instead of problem solve everything that you think is going to become a problem, and then 99% of them don't actually end up becoming a problem, so it's a little bit of a waste of time, et cetera. Right?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. So what year was that you got to Emory Riddle?
2002.
Okay, I thought oh two. Okay, this is
Yeah.
fascinating because I remember a couple years ago, me and a bunch of coaches at USTF CCCA convention were talking about coaches that had been at their place for a long time, basically. And we got the first like five real quick. Back then it was before Curtis Fry retired, so Curtis Fry and Mouse and guys like
Yep.
that, and Damon Martin.
Yep.
And then it got real quiet after about five or six. And then we started like, oh, yeah, well, what about, oh, yeah, they've been there for a while. What about so and so? Oh, yeah, they've been there. We couldn't just spout off 20, 30, 40, 50 coaches off the top of our
Right.
head, right? Uh, it's, I hate using like real definitive words here. I want to say it's rare, but it's not rare. It's not like no one does it, but
Right.
maybe the
It's not the
majority.
norm. The normal coaching
Yeah,
progression.
yeah, 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 yeah,
You
yeah, yeah.
start as a GA, you move up to an assistant coach, you
Right.
move up to head coach, and then when you become a head coach, and you're looking at, okay, now where do I move up to?
Yeah,
Right. Like if I'm a
yeah.
D3 coach, maybe I'm going D2, or I'm
Yeah.
going,
Yeah. And
how do I get
typically
to a
more
D1 or
stability
something?
on a head coach than an assistant coach. So you
Yeah.
right out the gate are a head coach. There's a little bit of stability there.
Yeah.
Back then, did we have cross and track or was it just a cross program?
Just cross.
Okay. Love that.
So
So
And to be fair, it's part of why I've stayed here as long as I have, because this job, I've had 5 jobs here in one job, if that makes sense.
mm,
Right? You know, so
so so
starting here,
so explain that a little bit more. Yeah.
yeah. So when I first started for the first 3 years, it was a cross country only program.
Okay.
Cross country, when I got here, had been around here for 3 years. The coach was a part-time coach who was an aerospace engineering professor.
Oh, jeez.
Great guy.
Yeah.
Loved Dr. Hill. He's awesome. But to be fair, it was a glorified club program. Like they
Yeah.
ran in the fall. They barely did anything in the spring.
Sure.
They he did what he did and it was great. But so then those first 3 years was
And
culture change.
what level were you back then? Meaning
We are
NAIA?
NAI.
Yeah, perfect. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Yep.
We are NAI. And cross country only. And I was also helping run our athletic tutoring program.
Hmm.
So 3 nights a week, I was running study hall for all athletic teams.
I could see that for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So getting to know all the different athletes, helping them out, doing those kinds of things. And,
What all
and again,
sport?
that's right up my alley
Yeah,
of
right.
being part teacher, part coach, and
What all sports did we have back then?
soccer, volleyball, men's basketball, but not women's at that point.
Oh, wow.
We had baseball, but not softball yet.
Wow.
We had golf and tennis. That may have been it at that point.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Keep on. Yep.
Yeah, that
I
may have
just
been
want
it at that
I
point.
want to help build the picture of your growth as a coach and the school
Yeah,
athletic department at the same time. Okay. Keep going.
yeah,
So
yeah.
first
So
three
it's about
years
that.
cross only, doing some tutoring makes sense. Math and physics guy. Yep.
Yeah, in an engineering school. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
right. Yeah, you're real
perfect.
smart. Engineering school. Well, there's a little bit of a leap there. Yeah. But you're doing
Yeah,
it. You're doing it.
yeah, yeah. That math physics part. That's where the math physics was still helping me out a little bit. Go walk into the calc tutoring lab and be like, yeah, you need to do this. So now I can't. And that's so 25 years ago. I can't remember half that stuff now.
Amen.
No. Yeah, and then in the third, I think it was in the third year, they decided to add track.
Okay.
So we added track in that third year. We phased that in over 4 years. So year one was just running events.
Right.
Year two, we added jumps. Year three was pole vault. Year four, we added the throws.
Yeah. Okay.
And
Okay, talk to us about that because that's interesting. I think there's several different ways of adding the track and field portion. Some have no cross country track; they add track, and typically cross country with that as well. Some have cross country and then add track. How did you? Because this is interesting. Let's be real. You're a cross country coach, right?
yeah,
There is no track background at this point, and they
right.
say, "Hey, okay, we're going to add track." How did you and administration, how did y'all come up with that plan of running events, field events, add pole vault third, and then the third? How did you like instead of just saying, "Hey, next year we're going to get them all," or "Hey, next year we're just going to do distance until I feel like adding throwing events or whatever." You know what I'm saying? How did that plan come to fruition?
There's a lot of negotiating at first.
Mm,
At first when we decided to add it, our proposal was we're going to go full blown into everything year one.
okay.
Like, or maybe year two. Year one, we didn't have a facility yet, so it would have been year two.
Mhm.
Yeah, let's go full blown. Here's our proposal, which was fun for me as a person who never coached track before, being asked, "What all do you need to run our track program?" And so I did. I had to lean on mentors. So I'm reaching out to Shankman. I'm reaching out
Right.
to some of the other coaches
Yeah.
that I kind of gotten to know and being like, "Hey, like, what do I need? Like, if I'm building a track program, what do I need? What do we need for throwing implements? I've never done that.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
I mean, I knew a little bit about hurdles. So that was okay.
Yeah.
What I need for throwing implements? What do pole vaulters need? What do high jumpers need? Like,
Right.
I never coached these events before, just had ever, watched them before. But,
Right.
so building in this proposal, how many coaches do we need?
Right.
What kind of size roster do we want to have? What's the equipment cost that we need? So
Mm.
doing a lot of research and building a proposal with our AD, with our um, our athletics secretary, kind of putting all those things together.
Mhm.
sending it into our administration, and our administration going, that costs too much to do right away.
Mhm.
You know, can you?
Are you looking at, sorry to keep interrupting.
No,
Are you looking at your other conference schools primarily, or are you looking at other people within NAIA back then? Because you don't go and compare yourself to like South Carolina. You don't go and like,
no,
oh, well, their budget's X and they have this much roster. And both, it's like, well, okay, that's not Embry-Riddle and South Carolina are not in the same conference, same league, etc. Are you comparing yourself more to that or more generalities of college track and field?
I was a little smarter than to go with just our conference
Mm,
because I was looking at the conference and going, we're that might not be where we want to be for future. We were in the top two or three already in cross country. Like, why do I want to be?
okay.
We're already one of the top teams in the conference in cross country. I don't necessarily want to compare ourselves to other,
Yeah, fair, fair.
So let's look at who are the top teams in NAI and who has the biggest budget, so that maybe I can get something better, right?
Yeah, work from there.
So, so we look at a national, look, all right, who are the top teams in the country at the NAI level, and let's go ask them and do some research. So we got,
Mhm.
got some numbers from
Got it.
some of the top teams in the country from the NAIA.
Hmm.
We really probably did not look at Division two. Like we were looking at NAI specific schools and going,
Yeah.
okay, let's get some ideas from them. So, and then people I knew, obviously like Coach Eichmann and some of
Hmm.
the other people that I've been working with, asking them some of the questions. Um, and then taking that to the admin. Okay, here's 7 or 8 NAI schools who have been doing very well. This is
Right.
what they're doing. And then that's when our admin, is looking at that going, we're not doing that in year two.
Yeah.
Here's what we can do. And then, we came up with a plan for 4 years. The original plan was just to do distance the first year.
Right.
We held an open tryout on campus and had 100 kids show up to tryouts.
Wait. So how big was the school? Because it wasn't 9,000 or whatever you said today.
No, we were at like 4 or 5,000 at the time.
Wow, and 100 kids. First of all,
Yeah,
that shows you the power of track and field
right.
as a participation
Yeah.
sport, right?
Oh,
Number one participation
absolutely.
sport in high school, number one participation
Yeah.
school in college. Embry-Riddle, no track program, has an open tryout and 100 kids, which I know some percentage of them had never done track at all, but I guarantee you a high percentage had done, whether it was 1 year or all 4 years.
Yeah.
Wow. Did that surprise you? Did you show up and be like, what the frick?
Yeah. No, absolutely. Number one, we were shocked
Yeah.
because we're a nerd school. I'm like, let's be real. Like
Right. Yeah.
we're
Right.
not even
Yeah.
we're not an athletic school. Like, we're
Right. Right.
we're
Right.
a
Right.
high IQ school where people who come here know what they want to do.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Right. Right.
Want to fly. They want to be an engineer. They're smart kids.
Wow.
So no. Well, and so yeah, first of all, we're like, holy crap, like I'm not prepared to do a tryout for 100 people. I've got like me and a grad assistant, maybe.
Did that show again? I'm sorry, Mike. Did that show your administration though? Like, oh, wait a minute. So this is 100 kids who are already here. If we actually recruited, like this could be a pretty big, or I should say, 100 to 5,000 is not, well, I mean, that's what,
It's
5,000
it's still a
times
big
500.
enrollment,
Yeah, that's, you're the math guy. What's,
2%.
thank you. I literally tried. I did. I was like, 500 is 10. Yeah. Okay.
You did.
uh, but it's more. I mean, and Embry-Riddle's probably not the
Yeah,
cheapest school in the world. Doesn't matter what it is. It's still that's 100 extra tuition payers, etc. So
yeah,
did that kind of show them a little bit of like, oh, wait a minute, guys.
yeah. I think that was eye opening for them.
Yeah,
Now,
yeah, yeah.
obviously, we go out to that tryout and we start talking to kids. Well, there's a group of them that want to be throwers. There's a group of them that want to jump or do those
Yeah.
kinds of things.
I
We're like,
assume you
all right,
said, "Hey, who wants to be a thrower?" And they all gathered up here and it was like, "All right, well, come back in 3 years." There's
yeah,
no
yeah.
tryout, buddy. Sorry.
That's not happening this year. That's not happening this year. We didn't really need to ask that question. You kind of look and go, no, 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 you're a thrower. Come back in a couple of years. Yeah. No, so we convinced that our admin, hey, we have this many kids here on campus. There's no reason why
Yeah.
we can't. There's no reason why we can't sprint this year.
Right.
Let's go out. We can do all the running events.
Right.
We still don't have a track. We don't have a facility at that point. So
Right.
we're going to train on a grass field.
Hmm.
That was known as the softball field. We didn't have a softball team. We didn't have a real softball field, but eventually that ground was set aside to be the softball field
Right.
eventually.
Right. Right.
So that's where we trained most of the time was
Yeah.
this grass field that was meant to be the softball field. And occasionally we go to a high school track a couple days
Right.
a week
Right.
and train out there.
Who coached those sprinters?
I did that first year.
I mean, that's a little different, Mr. Distance Man.
Yeah, that's where my soccer background came in.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm,
Okay.
mhm,
All
yeah,
right. All
but
right.
yeah, but also, again, reaching out to people who did and, kind of, hey, what do sprinters need? And then,
Right.
we did that for that first year. And then the second year, I was able to hire a full-time assistant and a part-time assistant who came in
Nice.
kind of in that second season. So then I had an assistant who helped with cross country and distance, and then we hired a sprint coach.
Right.
And the crazy thing is, um, they, well, the one retired last year. He stayed with me for 20 years.
Wow.
And that same sprint coach who started with me as a part-time coach is now my full-time assistant sprint coach. He's been with me. This is year 19.
Man. Embry-Riddle is a school of
People don't leave.
yeah, like
Yeah.
stability. That's the word I was thinking of. Holy. That's
Yeah.
amazing. That alone is amazing, honestly. Just that
Yeah.
right there. So did you said what the original plan was over the 4 years? Did that met out all the way, or what other changes? Because
Yep.
you said you weren't necessarily going to do sprinters right off the bat, and
No,
so
it stayed that way. We sprinted
yeah.
the first year. We added long jump, triple jump, high jump the second year, and then added pole vault the third year, and then throws the fourth year.
Wow. Did
Yeah.
they on that fourth year as you add throws, how many is on your roster? Like did this, 100-person tryout thing actually met out the way we were talking about? Did you have close to 100?
No, like we had, I think at that point when we did all the proposals and budgets, it was for about 60 to 70 athletes.
Oh,
And
right,
that's
because you
about where
yeah.
we were.
Yeah, okay, got it, got it, got it.
Yeah.
Eh,
And
eh,
that's the kind of where we met it out
yeah.
originally. Now we're at 100 to
hmm
110.
hmm And did they add any other sports during this time?
I remember when we added, um, not right then,
Okay.
no.
So the
Uh,
focus was on you. We're adding this
yeah, we had
track
track was,
program.
it was a few years later when we added other sports.
Hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, track. Yeah, we added track, and then I said in the third year we won our first conference title on the men's
Wow,
side,
man.
and then the next year we won the women's first conference title.
Dude, those
And
other schools were ticked. It's like, yeah, you could have just stayed cross country.
yeah,
Wow.
probably.
Through this time period, so the first, I guess we're probably about year seven, year eight-ish when we had for you total, when we had the throws guys and gals in there.
No, it was year four. Year four.
I,
Oh,
I,
for me. Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
Yes.
for
Yeah.
you, for
Year
you.
seven.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah. So yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Sorry.
Hey,
I was
math. When we do the 4 years, and no, it's playing. I
yeah.
can
That was
do.
about
I can
year
do that
seven.
math.
Yeah. Sorry. Sorry.
So
I was still thinking about just track. Sorry.
right, right,
Yes,
right.
that was
No, no.
about my seventh year.
Total. Because what I wondered then is in year seven, I mean, you have gone from a soccer guy who does track to a guy who was going to help out cross country to a cross country coach to now you're a director. You're running a program here.
Yep.
Your development as a coach, you had to, while all this stuff was going on, you're putting on proposals about what events to add and how to, do the budget and travel just got a lot more complicated by the way, et cetera, et cetera. How did what were some of the things that you did to further that development? You had to go from a cross country coach to a full blown, the whole nine. Was it administrators that you leaned on, other coaches? I can't think of a coaching class that would help on this aspect, help with coaching, but
All of the above, but I mean, definitely going to, the USATF level one schools, going to level two schools,
Mhm.
kind of learning from those things especially about other events, like how do I coach sprints?
Right.
What are we looking for in long jumpers? What are we looking for, in throwers? What are we doing there? So one would be kind of that. Two, the leaning on administrators here as far as, how do we design budgets? How do we do those
Hmm.
things? Um, you know, they had been through the process of adding two or three sports beforehand.
Right.
So they were very helpful in kind of that aspect of, okay, these are things that we need budget wise. These are things, that you may not be thinking about because, hey, not only are we asking for money for you, but we got to build our sports medicine staff, our training staff, our sports info staff. Like we
Yep.
can't just add 50 more athletes
Yep.
in a track and field program and not have support staff around it. So they're also guiding some of those conversations of how do we add this.
Absolutely.
Um,
That, that,
and then
that,
leaning
that
on some of the assistant coaches too. Like, I mean, I think I've been blessed with that as well. Obviously, bringing in Coach Juke, who's been our sprints coach. He was a decathlete in college, right down the road at Bethune-Cookman.
oh yeah.
And then he had been coaching there, and just was looking for a change. So when he came over here, being able to rely on somebody who had expertise and had already been coaching in the sprints jumps area, and
Hmm.
being and then learning from him, picking his brain, like, hey, why are we doing this? What are you doing with this? Why, what, talk to me about how we develop our sprint schedule.
Right. Right.
What events are you doing? And then we've picked up some volunteer coaches and some other part-time coaches along the way. So we've had in that first couple of years we had a part-time slash volunteer coach who's probably one of the best hammer coaches I've ever witnessed. Like, I mean, just did an excellent job. Um, he actually left our program for 10 years and now he's back volunteering with us again. He's like 83 years old out there at the hammer cage. It's awesome. You know, but being able to pick their brains and doing those things and kind
Yeah.
of from them. We got the same thing right now in our pole vault. I think our very first pole vault coach, he was in school as a for chiropractor, right down the street from us at a different chiropractic school. Was a pole vaulter at UF and was like, hey, do you need help? I was like, yeah, I could absolutely use some help coaching pole vault. He coached pole vault for us for 4 or 5 years. He was an excellent coach, great in biomechanics and other things. He actually helped coach some other events and wrote a lot of our med ball routines, our weight routines for about 4 years. Then decided he didn't want to do chiropractic and left us and went to PA school up in Indiana, moved to Minnesota.
Wow.
Well, about a month ago, moved back here. So now he's back helping us in pole vault again.
Dude,
It's like full circle
your
stuff.
mascot should be the boomerangs.
Yeah, something like, yeah, I mean, there's something about this place that just brings people back. No, but it's been, I really kind of feel like, as much as I've learned from mentors and other things, I think I've learned as much from my assistant coaches
Yeah. Yeah.
as anybody else. Like, I mean, I really trying to learn about other events and what we're looking for. And, been blessed with some great assistants who really have been very knowledgeable, who've really been able to kind of help not only grow the program, but help me grow as a coach. And so
You, you know, for the past couple of months, we've had a lot of conversations centered around that maybe the X's and O's are the easy part, and it's all this other stuff. Kind of goes back to when we said, like, oh, I don't like to be behind a computer. It's like, well, sorry, bud. Only
yeah,
this much is actually on the track. The rest of it is in front of the
right,
computer. And I say in front of the computer, it's all the other stuff, right? It's one-on-one
right,
with your athletes. It's
yep,
fundraising. It's working on your budget, etc. And that's where I'm. Struck with you. It's like, man, it's amazing. Like, there is no playbook. There's no playbook today in 2025. You're trying to do this in 2005, 2006, where, a lot of people you could tell you, like, oh, if you want to coach sprinters, do these kind of workouts. Many people you call there. Very few people could you call and go, hey, so I'm used to managing a roster of 20 kids, whatever it was. And now it's going to be 50. Oh, and by the way, they're not all distance guys and gals. So, that was much easier to herd them into this run or
right,
this workout. Now it's going to be like, well, some of them need this and some of them need that. And by the way, they have class. This is a pretty academic school. They have classes. Some are going to be able to go at 1 o'clock or whatever. That's where we just have little to no resources for people who are building programs from scratch or adding to the program. Even if you have a great program right now and you don't have throws for whatever reason, you're going to add it next year. There's no reason. You can go to throws coaches and say, hey, what do you need? Well, they got there. They had all the stuff they needed, or they had to supplement things. You're going to be building from scratch. You built the whole thing from scratch. That to me is amazing. I love that people were put with you that could help with those things, and your administration as well, of like, hey, here's the things we have to budget for. Because the other point you brought up, this is a great point. I can't remember who we had, forgive me, after 300 guests. It was here recently. It was this season, this year in 2025. Coach at a small school, and he was like, oh, I can build this program. We can have 100 people, and they're like, yeah, we don't have dorms for an extra 100 people. And he was like, it frustrated me a little bit. And I was like, well, that's expensive, by the way. So you don't just snap your finger and it gets done. I go, two, no offense, you're a track coach who has no experience with this, meaning you may bring in 10. You can say 100 all you want. It may just not happen, not through your own fault. Just, you don't know, you're
Yeah.
excited. You'd say 100 and it ends up being 10. They're out of a lot. That could depend on the size and the financial stability of
Right.
the school. That could wreck
Right.
a school. The school could be
Oh,
closed because of a
yep.
track coach. Sorry, bub,
Right.
not going to happen. We're important in our world, not in the
Yeah.
academic world of a university here. So to your point about the rest of the administration, they're sitting there going, so how many kids are you going to have at 70? All right, well, that means more trainers. We have to figure out dorms for that many extra people. English 101 maybe we need another professor, whatever, there's that's the things that they have to think about, where we just go, yeah, 70 kids. Okay, well, I need a budget of buses and implements or whatever. And it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, cool, cool, cool. We got these other things we got to worry about with 70 extra kids, man, tutors, etc. It's a lot. It's funny, as a track coach, we'll say how important and impactful 75 to 100 kids of a track team will be for a university. And you're right, by the way, but then we forget how impactful that really, it goes beyond our circle of like, oh, the
Yeah.
university, again, depending on the size and scope of
Yeah.
the university has to figure out how to
Yeah.
put these kids in. And every year, by the way, and they're thinking
Yeah.
beyond you, like, man, you may be gone in 5 years. We still got to have these kids here for, every year for the rest of our lives that we're open here. So it's just interesting, those other aspects. I love that you brought up the trainer. That just made me think about that.
Yeah. No, it's interesting. When you think about it, you go, okay, well, we're going to bring in an extra 50 kids at 50 grand a year. So we're bringing in 2.5 million or whatever it is.
Absolutely.
And you go, hey, this is great for the university. The university's all, the reality of that is, okay, of that, we've got to hire two more, two or three more professors. We got to,
Right.
we are getting all that extra income, but it's not just that
Yeah,
income.
it's not 2.5 million net. That is
Right.
gross, and we got to pay.
Right.
The kids cost us things, and for rightfully
Yeah.
so. So we have to figure those out. Student athlete rec center. I mean, there's so much to a whole ecosystem of a
Yeah.
university that goes to the town as well. By the way, again, depending on the size of the town as well. There is no just simple like, oh, 50 kids, who cares, big deal. Well, I'll be a genius. I was like, man, this takes so much more than you, bro. I know you're smart and you're a track coach, but this is way more than just that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But those are things you also got to think about when you're proposing it
That's
is,
right. That's right.
hey, this is the impact. We're going to bring in an extra $1 million to the school,
Exactly right.
so that it's going to allow you to hire
That's right.
whatever to help in other areas that we need help in. And
That's
that's how
right.
you sell the program, right?
And that goes back to what we said earlier about administration has to be real and upfront and honest with their coaches then too. So that literally just made me think of, I was at a school where we had like 3 kids on the team when I first got the job. We grew it to like 20 my first year. Well, I didn't have many kids to coach, so I just recruited all year, right?
Yeah.
So I had 80 coming in the second year. And as I was signing these kids, I was going to the president and the AD saying, I know what my budget is. I'm gonna need buses, not vans next year. Like, no problem. You bring the kids in, we'll take care of the budget. So, 80 something kids show up, for fall, and I get my budget, and it's not 1 red cent higher. And I was like, guys, what are we gonna do with these kids? Like, I told them, you told me, but because of what you told me, and they're like, yeah, next year. And honestly, I'll tell you what, whether I chickened out, cowered out, whatever, I left. I had another job offer. I helped the kids leave and go to where they could, but it was like, man, this ain't happening. This university is not, this college isn't serious about this. They lied to me, and well, golly, if they're willing to lie about this, well, what hope do I have for anything else? So administrators and
Yeah.
coaches have got to be on the same page, have got to be honest with each
100%.
other. And it goes both ways. Coaches, you've got to be honest with your administrators, and vice versa. They have to be honest with you. Okay, year 7, you've got a full program now. You're winning conference championships. That's amazing. Spoiler alert, you're there for another, year 23 coming up now? Is that right? If I do
Yeah.
math, see now every time I have to do math, I feel a little inferior to you here. Just be honest with you.
Hey,
Uh,
it's all addition and subtraction. You're good.
well, I always tell people I went to high school and college in Alabama, so that'll tell you my math skills and maybe my English skills
I
sometimes
don't
too.
know. I mean, you got to do a little bit of math to figure out what you're doing in the poker world.
Yeah, well, that's true. Yeah, that's true.
There's a little bit of odds going on there.
That's a good point. I thought you were going to bring up football. I was like, well, I do know how to count by 6s, 7s, and 3s. So I've got that down fairly
No,
well.
no,
The national sport of Alabama, it's football.
yes.
Okay, so what has kept you there so long? You're a very competent coach. The experiences that you've had through here at year 7, and I know they just keep building onto each other. That's
Yeah.
the kind of coach that's very attractive to me as an administrator. It's like, oh man, this guy, okay, he can coach. Cool, that's table stakes. We need that. Okay, fine, he can coach. But he understands all these other things. He built it from, they had nothing and he built it. That's the kind of coach that's attractive to me. You're still here, my friend. And I love that. I hope part of it is your own choice. And it must be because you're very attractive to other schools. What's kept you there in Daytona besides the beach?
Yeah, besides the beach, which I probably see twice a year.
You're not a
You'd
beach
think
bum?
it'd be the beach. Um, I'd say it's been, again, there were new challenges all the time. So one was building that program over that 4 years. But once we built it there, it wasn't just stopping there.
Right.
We built to where, when we left the NAIA in 2015, 16, 15, 16, kind of whenever that, somewhere in that year is our transition. We were one of the top 5 teams in the NAIA, or at least 5 to 10 teams in the NAIA.
Right.
So we had built from nothing to being a conference champion to being top 15 to top 10, top, like there's something new going on every year for a while, kind of building that program and seeing that. And then we announced that we were moving from NAIA to Division II, which then was a whole nother challenge.
What'd you think about that? I assume they didn't ask you your opinion. What did you think about that?
We did, actually, to be fair, like we did get asked our opinion quite a bit.
Okay.
And to our admin and to our administration's credit, and to especially our AD at that point, he was very open with us as coaches and asking our opinion about,
Okay.
what are the pros and cons? What do you guys see as the advantages or disadvantages of it? And we gave input.
Oh, that's cool.
And kind
I
of
love
understood,
that.
like a lot of our other sports, it was a real priority for them to move from NAIA to Division II, in a sense that, the facilities they were having to go to and the problems they were having, playing in a church gym, playing soccer on a baseball field,
Really?
you know,
Oh, wow.
having, our tennis coaches hosting almost every conference match because nobody else had a tennis court to, whatever that was. Just some challenges they were facing, right?
Right.
With other teams in NAI.
Which you
And
didn't.
I don't want to bash on NAI schools. There's a lot of
Yeah,
really good,
yeah. Well,
but
and that was 10 years ago too, which things have
right.
changed
Yeah,
with it.
things have changed.
And those are issues that you example there. You didn't have because it's track, so
Yeah,
you could go to University of Florida every weekend if you wanted if
yeah,
they hosted and stuff. Right.
exactly. So we're having these conversations, and I'm sitting back going,
Yeah.
if it's up to me, I'd stay
Yeah,
NAI.
like, I'm good.
You know, Track Nationals has 1,000 kids at it. We're getting 25 to 30 kids to national meet. Like that's not going to happen when we go Division II and only 300 kids get to go. Right. Like this is, it's a big difference when
Yeah.
you have standards and whoever hits a standard gets to go versus the top
Right.
20 get to go. Right.
Yeah.
So I'm going, we've got life great. Like if I'm not hosting, I'm at a D1 school.
Hmm.
I never have that issue. I'm at I'm at UF, UCF, USF,
Right.
UNF,
Yeah.
FSU, anything that has a U and an F in it, like, and maybe add Miami, right? Like,
Thanks for saying U and an F and not an F and a U. Good job.
yeah, no, exactly. So I mean, from our standpoint, I'm going, I'd stay, right? Like, this is great for us. But for the other coaches, I'm understanding where they're coming from. Like this is an improvement. Like our kids are going to have a much better experience because they're going to other places that have similar facilities. They're, getting the right quality experience. They're finishing the game and getting to go into a locker room, not expected to shower in a pool or
Right.
whatever it is, and again, it's just what resources people have and things like that. And it's what it was. So we're having those conversations and so, I mean, I understand where we're coming from. We all understood why we're making the decision. Um, you know, it, again, from our standpoint, it didn't matter, but it was, it was a new challenge. And so as we kind of moved into that, it was a new challenge.
Yeah, I
And
was gonna say it did matter, right? Because that's different. A D2 roster is different than NAI roster. The
yep,
rules are different, right? Scholarship allotments, things like that.
yep,
So how
all
do
those things.
you again, so valuable, Mike, that you've led through these things, not just gone through them, like you've led through them from cross country only program to a full track and field cross country program. Now moving from NAIA to an NCAA Division two. What are the things like? What did you have to change? Uh, Through that in kind of walk us through the transition. I think I know like if you go Division two to Division one, you have to sit out 4 years, and maybe that's changing. I don't know. But did you have to sit out? Talk to us about like how you had to change the program to I don't want to say catch up to D2, but to transition
Yeah,
to D2.
yeah. The transition was rough. I mean, I think the first thing we had to change was a little bit about obviously learning the NCAA rule book. NAIA rule book, NCAA rule book.
Sure.
It's a little different.
You said the
Uh,
NAIA rule book was this big. I was JUCO.
okay,
It was a couple pages. Yeah,
yeah, a couple of pages.
yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, first was just kind of learning what are the rules? What are we allowed to do? What are we not allowed to
Right.
do? Definitely changed the recruiting process some,
Mm,
not being able to contact students at the same time, who you could recruit, when you could recruit them, those
right.
kinds of things. And then a little bit changed a little bit too with the relationships with athletes.
Hmm.
We really felt like in those first couple years in the transition that we were being watched so much for NCAA rules, that we had to be extra careful with everything.
Wow.
So it really felt like the personal relationships we had with athletes and some of like, what would be perceived as NCAA extra benefits were things that we were used to doing.
Right.
A kid flies in and needs a ride from the airport. Oh, okay, we give him a ride home.
Right.
After practice, somebody needs a ride home. We just give them a ride home. Like, I
Right.
never
Right.
thought twice about that. Like, you know, one of our core values in our program is family. Like, if I'm going to treat you as family, like that's what family does, right?
Right.
Like,
Right.
I give you a ride home. You get stuck somewhere, you know,
Yep.
you don't have something to eat. Come over, like whatever. Like, just
Yeah.
so we really kind of felt like that those first couple of years where we were being watched extra carefully and just
Hmm.
really kind of it felt like we had to be a little more standoffish with athletes.
Hmm.
So that part was something that we had to learn kind of where's that balance between still being family, but being family a little bit different and where
Yeah.
those boundary lines. So I think that was a little bit of transition. We
Y-
had to sit out 2 years, no conference
Okay.
or no conference or national postseason.
Right.
So that was a little rough, but
Yeah, especially for a program that's used to going to nationals, and we do
right.
them, and we do well, by the way. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, we're sending 25 to 30 kids to track nationals every year at that
Could
point.
could still I assume you went to a conference right off the bat. Could you compete in conference for those 2 years?
So we moved into yeah, no, but yes.
Oh, so you couldn't even make
So
that like your nationals. Like, hey, we're gonna go to conference. This is our big meet of the year for 2 years.
we couldn't do that.
Oh
And that
man.
was a conference decision. So every conference is different.
Mm,
So our conference would not allow us to do that.
mm. And I see both sides. My initial reaction is, dude, come on. It's
Right.
your new conference brother. I've never thought about what you said there about being watched and monitored more. I never thought about, oh, a school that's transitioning, they don't know the rules. It's not ingrained in them to know the rules.
Yep.
So it's much easier for them to slip. So we need to pay a little bit more attention of like, hey, slap the hand, you can't do that anymore.
Right.
So I can see the conference brethrens and sisterns kind of thinking the same thing. It's like, oh boy, they've been running off the NAIA rules. We need to give them a little cool down before we allow them to come in, get underneath our rules. But on
Right.
the other hand, I'm also like, yeah, but you trusted them enough to accept them into your conference. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
oh,
It's
that's
rough. And so a
tough.
lot of conferences do allow it, but ours did not. And again, the same thing. It's like, okay, are they following the rules? Are they not following the rules? But the other side of it is what happens if we win the conference? Right. And that's the auto qualifier to nationals. Not that
But
it isn't cross country or track, but think about
yeah, but
other
like a
sports.
basketball, baseball. Oh,
Right. But if you go
sure.
out and win it, then how do we determine who gets the AQ?
Yeah, second
Right.
place. This is easy to answer here, guys. Yeah, come
Yeah.
on. Let's not complicate this.
Right. But that's
Yeah.
also where they're coming from is
Yeah.
okay,
Sure, sure,
what
sure.
happens if you win, then
Yeah, I get it. I see both
Not that
sides. I may not agree necessarily with one side, but I can see both sides and not necessarily fault them. But so how did you, the staff, the kids, I mean, like J June of one year, you're at nationals, having a good time, you're top 10, and Labor Day of that 3 months later, 4 months later, that fall, you're like, okay, so our last meet is going to be May 1, the Clemson invite or whatever. And then I'll see you again in the fall, boys. Like,
yeah.
what? No, no, you build
And
your
cross
team.
country ended in October,
Oh, wow, I didn't even think of cross. What a,
right?
oh
Yeah,
my God, you had like no
yeah. Cross
season.
country is like four
I
meets,
was gonna say, would you have like 4 meets? Yeah, exactly. Wow.
and then track. In track, it's like, why are we going? At that point in track, indoors, we're going. The closest indoor track to us is 6.5 hours away.
Oh,
At that
right.
point,
Yeah.
if not 9 hours away, it's like, why are we taking these trips for
Yeah, this
indoor?
is super early. We had no indoors back then. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So it's like, where are we going to go? Why would we even do indoors?
Oh,
And then
wow.
outdoors, we're like, we're gonna stop. We're gonna stop before school ends. So we're stopping end of April. And so the conversation we had with the athletes was, look, these 2 years are going to be a little rough, but here's what we're going to do for you. We're going to redshirt half of you this year.
Oh,
And we're going to redshirt the other half next year.
yeah.
And that way you all get, you're not losing 2 years, you're losing 1 year.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
And then in your fifth year, that's, most of you are going to get to stay here fifth year.
Right.
We did a special spring break trip both years.
Okay. There you go.
We're
Yeah.
saving some money because we're not traveling as much indoors. We're
Right.
ending our season in April,
Right.
those kinds of things. So we're like, you know what, we can, we'll do something special. So, 1 year, I think we went up to Myrtle Beach, and the
Oh,
other
yeah.
year we actually took a trip to Puerto Rico, which was really cool.
Oh, yeah. That is cool. Did
You
you,
know,
did you, and again, I give all grace to young people, even in college, 18 to 22 years old, you're still a young kid. You're a kid. Did you lose any kids? Any kids like, I didn't sign up for this. I'm going to transfer out.
to be honest, not really. And, again, part of that is who we are.
Yeah.
Part of that's, because of the school we are and because of the degree programs we have, people
Sure.
are here for the education.
Yeah, yeah,
Kind
yeah,
of
yeah,
similar to
yeah.
what, we talk about, like, why did I not leave when I wasn't playing soccer? Why didn't I just go play somewhere else?
Right.
Kind of the same thing. Like, people are coming here for the education, for the program, and for what we're doing. So, I think that
Yeah.
was part of it, was they were kind of bought into the education, or bought in there. So they,
That's
and
still
it,
amazing to me, dude. I mean, we're still talking, I don't care. That all what you're saying is true.
right.
You didn't have something that only you had, meaning there are other flight schools or other engineering
Yeah.
schools. Let's be real here. But
Right.
there was something you had, the culture that kept people. That is impressive to me.
Right.
Especially like I can just imagine that kid that comes there is like, oh man, I'm on the outskirts of qualifying for nationals. Maybe they qualified or just missed it their first year. Like, oh, but the hunger, like, oh man, I can go, I can make nationals, I could score. And then 2 years of like, well, no, no, you can't. We're not even going to allow you the chance. It's like, I mean, just kind of deflating a little bit. So your
Yeah.
job as a coach, as a coaching staff, and the administration. And by the way, the administration is dealing with this with all sports,
Sports.
basketball,
Right.
baseball, golf,
Yeah.
etc. So I get that. How do you keep kids engaged academically and athletically? I mean, how do you recruit? How do you bring a kid in and say, yeah, but we're gonna sit out a year or two, whatever, depending on what you. That's hard, man.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Yeah. And it was a challenge, but again, it's, we're going to have some special, that's how we sold it. Like, we're going to have, the special trips. We're going to try to make this a great experience. You still get to compete, and we're still going to great meets.
Right,
It's
right.
not like, you're not competing at all.
Yeah,
Just
yeah. Good point. Yeah, you didn't,
right.
the
We're
death
still
penalty
competing. We're
for,
still
yeah,
going to big meets. We're going to add an extra trip or two.
yeah.
You're going to get, in theory, a lot of them are getting an extra year.
Hmm.
And that's how we sold it in recruiting is, hey, you're going to get an extra year of this. You're going to
Right,
get to compete this 1 year. You're going to redshirt, but when you're redshirting, we're still hosting 3 or 4 meets. So you're going to get to compete unattached in 4 or 5
right,
meets.
right.
You can travel. It's an hour to two, or, UNF,
Yeah,
UCF.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, you're gonna get to split. Yeah.
Yeah, you can get some places. So
How do you kind of maybe the technical side of it? How do you, as a coach handle the scholarship changing, or did that not change all that much? Whether it was how much scholarshiping or your allocation, because you're a smart guy. I guarantee you looked at the conference you're getting into and looked at the Division II Nationals. Was like, okay, well, I've been a little too heavy on this side. I might need to focus more on these or whatnot. So you at least had those thoughts whether you made a change or not. What technical? How do you make that correction to the D2 side of it wise?
No, I say on the scholarship side, we didn't change that much. So it was
Okay.
very, very similar for us. We weren't at the NAIA max, we're not at the D2 max. So
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
kind of halfway in between. So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
we didn't have much of a transition with that
Okay.
aspect. Um, we are still kind of looking at, obviously the conferences are a little bit different and kind of figuring out where are we putting effort into winning, if we're going to try to win this conference. Now we have a really big challenge because we're probably the only school ever in the history of America that in track right now we compete in two conferences in outdoor track.
A lot of times when people say we're the first ones or the only ones, I'm always like, you're just thinking about only stuff. Okay, what do you mean? That's weird. Yeah.
It's totally weird. So we're in the Sunshine State Conference for every sport,
Okay.
right? The Sunshine State last year added an outdoor track championship without field events.
Is that right? Hey, well, better than nothing, I guess. Okay.
It is what it is.
All right.
And to be fair, the 7, 8 other schools in the Sunshine State were primarily doing cross country and distance track.
Right, right.
Right. And so they were looking at let's at least we took that step. We added a track championship.
Yeah.
But since it was a track only championship, and we've been an affiliate member of the Peach Belt since we moved Division II for track and field. Sorry, I need to be careful when I say these things.
Dude, hey, first of all, no, I got in trouble with that online, Twitter one day. I said, I distinctly remember this tweet. I said,
Yes.
because I copied off, I like taking other people's tweets that are about like something else or another sport or something, and then adding
Yeah.
track and coaches into it. And so I quote tweeted something, but the gist of it was, I like track and field. I love track coaches. That's what I tweeted. It
Okay.
was something about passion. I like something, but I love. I was just that was trying to convey like I do
Yeah.
like track and field, but man, my heart is track coaches, right?
Or track coaches.
So I said I love track and field, but I love track coaches. And I had someone who is a huge person in this sport. I love her to death, and she messaged me and said, "What about the field coaches?" And I was like, "Okay, come on, I was saying the same thing, man."
Right.
So no, when you say track, I think of the
Right.
sport. I mean, remember, our real name is athletics, by the way.
Correct.
So it's the whole
Yeah.
enchilada. I can't stand
I know.
field
Well,
coaches.
I have to be careful when I talk about it because of the difference in our conferences
Oh well,
right
yeah,
now.
you do. Okay, good point.
Right.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Yeah,
So
you've got a track conference
I
and a track
in
and
a track
field
and field
conference.
conference. Yes. Yes. So we had been affiliate members of the Peach Belt since we moved to Division
Wow.
Two.
Yeah,
And
that
so
is wow.
when they brought that in, it was agreed upon and by the ADs and the presidents and by both conferences that until the Sunshine State adds field events that we can do track in one and track and field in the other one.
And you're the only one.
Yeah.
Wow. So can't be the same weekend, thank goodness.
No, but
Yeah,
they're
okay.
back. Yeah. Yeah.
But back
So
to back. So back to
back to
back,
back.
you've got so you can win in outdoor track and field two conference championships every year. Now that is a
Or
trivia
four.
question.
Or
I can't.
four. Four
Yeah,
if you
yeah.
count the
Thank you,
men and
thank you,
women.
thank you,
Right.
thank you. That
Yeah.
I will take as a correction. Yeah, it is men and women. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Those are separate teams and separate championships. I will take that correction. Yeah. That's a fun little trivia question I'm going to use somewhere in convention or something, man. I love that. That is
Yeah.
really cool. I mean, I know you said that, but have you looked into, are you the only school that has that?
As far as I know, we're the only
I'm saying I've
school.
never heard of it. I can't even
Yeah. I
think like, oh, what
can't.
about Gonzaga or something? I'm trying to think like
Yeah.
distance or, wow, that's
Yeah.
crazy.
So
That's really cool. I love that.
at least for another year, at least for another year or two
Yeah, yeah,
until
yeah.
things.
Is there is a Sunshine State Conference, right? Is that what you called it?
Yeah.
Is there plan to add like
Amongst the coaches for sure.
yeah,
You
yeah.
have
Well,
to ask
that's a big
ADs.
part of it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You
Amongst the
get
coaches, yes, that is kind of the plan. Is that we are hopeful that in the
yeah,
next couple years or so
yeah, yeah.
that'll change. But
And
yeah, for
it's
now
great for
it's
our sport, so that's good.
yeah,
They'll
yeah,
in some forms of fashions they will add field events, throws event like they'll add
yeah,
more to it as well. So that's cool. I love that. Do they do? So
yeah,
this is interesting. So you said running events only.
yeah.
Hurdles.
Yes.
Okay, so we're counting that.
And
Relays then.
steeple. Yeah.
And steep. I'm trying to think like because it's equipment based is what their issue is. So I'm like, okay, you need
Yeah.
hurdles. Okay, so they're doing that. So it's literally just we're not doing jumps, we're not doing throws. Did I miss something? Just jumps and throws, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jumps and throws.
Yeah. So you're doing
Yeah.
the relays,
Depending on. Yeah.
steeple.
Yep.
Wow, man, that's interesting. Huh.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
interesting.
and it fits the definition of an NCAA meet. When you look at it, the definition of NCAA meet, it's got to have 10 events. So,
Yeah. Right. 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 Right.
1, 2, 4, 8,
Yeah.
15, 5, 10 steeple, 110
Yeah.
hurdles,
400.
4 hurdles, 4
Way
by 1,
more
4
because
by 4.
so you
Yeah,
get
it's
the
like
yeah,
12.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. That's
Yeah.
interesting. That's really cool. That's interesting. Well, I mean, there's another fun fact. We learned about Eagles to start, and now we're learning
Yep.
about two conferences,
Yep.
outdoor championships. That's amazing. Um, Yeah, so Mike, again, all this experience. I mean, that's transitioning from cross country to a full track and field program. That's amazing. Transitioning from NAIA to Division II, that's amazing. And during the, I keep trying to figure out why you haven't left, right? And I mean that in a good way.
Yeah.
But I'm also thinking in the background here, in your foreground, you're raising at least two kids we know of. So you're raising a family. I mean,
Student.
there's other things. It's like, yeah, but they're in high school. What am I, I'm not going to mess them. I've got a good thing. I don't need to leave. Why would I
Right.
uproot their lives? So you've established real roots there in the Daytona area.
Yeah. And for 7 years, I had one of my kids here in school. And for 6 of those years, one was on it, at least one, if not both of them were on the team. So,
No way. I did not
yeah.
know that.
Yeah.
Did you coach like were they distance runners?
My daughter was a pole vaulter for 2 years.
Wow.
Um, yeah. And my son, and that's an interesting story. We talk about that one in a second.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
yes, my son was cross country and distance.
What's that like coaching your son, man?
It was really cool. Um, I mean, we had a great relationship, and we kind of joke about the fact that I probably saw him more in college than I saw him in high school, right? Because
Yeah, sure.
I actually saw him every day,
Right.
maybe not so much in high
Sad,
school.
sad but true. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
but no, it was great. I mean, he learned, he got a whole lot better. We had a whole lot of fun working together, and we
Yeah.
still, he's still training and still running, and so we still kind of talk about his
So
training and
so
things like
not
that.
like his dad. Okay, yeah,
No,
cool.
not like his dad.
What's easier or harder? I just kind of thought about this. So you've got in different time frames, you got a daughter on the team and a son on the team. The son, you're directly coach, like you're giving the workouts, you're monitoring the
Yep.
results, things like that. The daughter is across the field per se. On the track team, you're obviously you're the head coach, you're over,
Yep.
but it's like I don't know really what's going on over there, and you might not even be able to get to watch her all that much during meets, depending on all that kind of stuff.
Right.
What's easier and harder as a dad slash coach?
Ooh. I don't know. Like, I mean, I think probably a little bit with the daughter, just not being able to be as hands on.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
But the challenge with having the son on the team, like, is you're always balancing off that sense of I need to treat him the same as other athletes, but the reality means I'm treating him harder than other athletes because anything I do that shows, I want to be careful not to show favoritism, right?
Right,
So I'm going to be harder on him than everybody else. And that's not really fair to him either. So
right.
kind of balancing that relationship
Yeah,
of how can I hold you accountable without being overly holding you accountable.
yeah.
That's also kind of always that challenge. And, the sense of, how are other athletes reacting to it?
Hmm.
Of
That reality
giving
or
him
perception, by the way. Yep. Hmm.
yeah, giving him enough attention, but not too much attention. Holding him accountable, but also giving him some leeway to make mistakes like everybody else
Oh,
has.
yeah. And you're his dad, so you've been through that for 18 years up to that point too. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
I'm always amazed, and we've had a few. I can think of two off the top of my head, but I feel like it's a little bit more. We've had married couples who coach together, and I'm always amazed. Like, how do you, it's using simple term times here. At 5 o'clock, practice is over, and you go home for dinner. How do you not continue coaching? The
right.
how did you and son handle Christmas dinners? I'm assuming he probably, maybe he did, maybe he was smart enough to save a room and board. He stayed with you, but how do you, how do
No,
you,
we kicked him out.
that's,
He
hey,
was in
that's
the door for sure.
smart
He
for
needed
him
that
for sure.
experience. Yes.
Uh, Probably the way to ask this is how did you stay dad during dad times and then stay coach over and coach? How did you keep those separate?
Um, I mean, I don't know. I guess it was just about what we talked about and how we handle things and, trying to just relax, being able to relax at home and not have that relationship.
Hmm.
But yeah, I guess it was kind of always walking that fine line, but still a lot of our conversations still are around cross country and track because
So you are.
that's who we are. That's who he is. It's who I am. It's like that's what
Yeah.
we're passionate about. So why would we not talk about those things? But
Yeah.
being able to go on family vacation and being able to chill and say, hey, you know. But I hope that we do that with all of our athletes too, though, in the sense of, when we talk
Yeah.
about, we're all about family in our program. We're about student, person, and player. That when we're not at practice, we're able to talk to you about how are you doing as a student, how are you doing as
Yeah.
a person, how are you, functioning with the rest of your life, and
That's a
what are your relationships like outside of track, and
Yeah, that's a great point because I was thinking,
mm,
you shouldn't be talking to your son only, but I know this who you are, but it's like, man, you have other persons, passions, charities, whatever. But take away that he was your son, I would hope that our coaches are having these discussions with their kids about what's going on, how are they doing, how's your parents, how are you handling this far away from home, like non-track and cross country stuff. Yeah, that's a great point. Maybe it just feels like it would be easier because dad's been there for 18 years. Like, you've seen everything when they
right.
quit soccer, quit track, but then joined back to track, the girlfriends and whatever, you've seen it all where, another freshman, you're like, well, I've known you for 6 months. I got a lot to learn, but it's like, man, junior, I've known you forever. Yeah, I can see where it's still different, but I can see where there's similarities of like, man, I hope you're having off the track conversations to get to know the human that's in front of you, not just the steeplechaser or the hammer thrower, etc. Yeah, that's a good
Yeah.
point. It's a good point. Tell me both of them are like pilots or something.
He's an aerospace engineer who's doing flight test engineering for a drone company.
Oh, dude. Oh, that's right. You mentioned the drone. Yeah, yeah,
He
yeah.
gets he
Wow.
gets paid a lot of money to fly a drone around
To
half the day.
fly a radio remote controlled
Yeah,
plane, dude. Come on, let's be real
well,
here.
yeah,
Wow,
yeah. He gets paid more than I do to do that, so that's
dude.
great. He's
Yeah.
smarter than I am. And my
Good
daughter,
job, mom and dad, by the way.
yeah, he's doing great, and he's training. He's still training. He's doing a marathon in a couple of weeks. So
And you never picked it back up. I was waiting for you to tell me when you said, I didn't run anymore, but I was waiting for you to say, but I ran some marathons and stuff because that's what you
I did.
distance. You
I mean,
did.
yeah, I did.
Yeah, no, it's what all you distance guys do, man. So you did start getting back to, jogging and
Yeah.
then running
Oh
and
yeah, yeah. No, yeah. Once I started coaching, I got back into running. I'd run with the team quite a bit. I don't anymore. I'm too old now. But
yeah.
yeah, when I first was coaching, yeah, I'd run with them most days, and that made me a better coach, to be
Is that
honest.
right?
Yeah, because the days when they're going out for an easy run, the days I could go out run with them and have those conversations while we're running and
Mm,
getting to know how they were reacting to things and
yeah.
really got to know them a little bit better. And now that I can't do that, or really what I think that transition was when we added track, where now they go for a run and I go coach somebody in track, right?
Right.
So that was that kind of balance of, okay, the distance guys, they're going for an 8 mile run. I'm not going for an 8 mile run with them. So what am I doing? Oh, I'm going to hang out at the track and go work with the sprinters. I'm going to go work with the throwers. I'm going to go work with this group.
Yeah.
So I feel like I kind of lost a little bit in that transition
Yeah.
because now I don't know as much about you because I'm not running every day with you.
Yeah.
But yeah, those first years I definitely ran with them most of the time.
We just had this conversation. I'm pretty sure it's going to be the podcast right before that because I think it was my last interview where we talked about as coaches age, and we were talking about sprints and hurdles of demonstrating like hurdle drills.
Right.
And as you get older, less demonstrations happen until eventually where you can't demonstrate at all,
Yeah.
depending on how far you get into your age with that. And it was like, oh, you've got to continue to evolve as a coach. Like you got to go from someone who can show the kids how to do these drills, et cetera, to someone who now has to speak it or
Oh, absolutely.
relies on film, et cetera. The same thing with our distance guys and gals coaches. It's like, oh man, when you're a spry 28, 29-year-old, a couple years off the circuit, you can still run with them all day. As we get a little older, it's like, It's a couple things. One is, maybe we just can't go on 8 miles runs with our kids; they're too good.
Yeah,
But also, we have other responsibilities. To your point, I got other members of the team, or I've got a meeting I got to go to. You're probably, sometimes people forget about this for head coaching in a lot of universities, no matter what sport you coach. But if you're the head coach of, say, track and field, you're going to be in the hiring committees of other sports. A new basketball coach said you're going to be interviewed. That takes time. We still all got 24 hours, but now all these
right.
other duties as assigned pop up. So you've had to learn to continue to coach differently as you go through your different ages and stages.
Oh, absolutely, 100%.
Hmm.
Kind of going from running with them and being able to just kind of hang out to not being able to do that, and working on coaching new events.
Hmm.
Because now, currently now I don't just have the distance group. Now I have the multi-eventers, the decathletes and heptathletes,
Is
which I
that
thoroughly
right?
enjoy.
Yeah.
That's so much fun, kind of being able to coach a different event every day, and having fun, and the technical aspects of that. Like, that's just so much fun for me. Like, I really enjoy working with them just as much as the distance group. And, but that's a whole new challenge of learning how to deal with every one of those events.
Mike, you dropped that right as I know we have to go because I'm like,
I
well, wait a
know.
minute, there's 1,000 questions there. But what I do love, and I got one more question, but kind of a quick summary is I love your evolution, dude. It's easy for us to sit back and for a guy who has been in a place for 23, 24 seasons and go, probably pretty stale. Probably the reason it's gone is it's just easy, just gets to do the same thing over. And it's like, whoa, bro, you have done. I mean, looking back at 2002 and 2025, 2026, bro, that's a different school, a different program, literally, literally different organizations in the NAIA NCAA. Golly, you may have been at the same institution, but you actually hit the nail on the head. You've had five, maybe more jobs during that time. That is really amazing to continue to evolve and to continue to lead through those transitions. That's very impressive, dude. Whether it was this school or five different schools, you've been able to do it at one school, which there's a lot to be said about that.
No, for sure. For sure.
Well,
It's been great. And the other reason I stayed is because of the school itself.
yeah. Yeah,
It's
it
it's
must be. I mean,
it's a great program to sell. Like,
yeah.
I can sell this is education is going to get you a great job, and
Yeah.
you're going to be better off for being here. And that's ultimately why I'm here.
Yeah. I love that. All right, Mike, give us the last 60 seconds here. I love asking this question of all of our coaches. You get to define what future means as you stare into the future of Embry-Riddle track and field and cross country, man. What's got you excited?
I, just a continued opportunity to keep growing. Our challenge in Division II is to try to do what we did in NAI, which was, move up the national ladder. We moved from being nothing to being top five, and now we're in that 20 to 40 range, and trying to break through that ceiling. That's the new challenge.
I love it. And I don't see retirement anytime soon here, brother.
I'm too young.
I hear it. I hear it. You're too in it. I mean, it's
Yeah,
amazing the legacy you're building there. I mean, that program has known nothing but you. And I hope that stays true for a long time, honestly. That's so
yeah,
cool. Uh, I'm
appreciate
gonna
it.
I'm gonna do a quick wrap up here. Normally I do a good 60 seconds here, but he's got to go. I got to go, and so we're gonna keep it short. This was a lot of fun. I hope you enjoyed this. This is a great example of a coach who does really truly grow roots in their program. Planted the freaking seed at the program, right, with the track and field and everything. And I think there's a lot to learn there. I could spend a couple more hours with this guy learning more about that because there's a lot of value in the experiences he's been through. So if you see him at a track or at the convention, uh, ask some questions because I know there's some things you're continually growing in your facility in your programs. He's got some knowledge there firsthand of going through it. So join us next week. We'll do it all over again. Have a great day, guys.